Yes, we can. Obama waives anti-terrorism provisions to arm Syrian rebels. The Obama administration waived provisions of a federal law which bans the supply of weapons and money to terrorists. The move is opening doors to supplying Syrian opposition with protection from chemical weapons. And this, of course, is being done under the Arms Export Control Act. So Obama is exploiting a tenuous loophole within this law which forbids supplying weapons to terrorists in order to supply weapons to terrorists. But don't worry, because those weapons are only going to the moderate rebels, you know, like FSA commander Abu Sakar, who likes to cut out people's hearts and eat them on camera. He's the moderate. The terrorists, the jihadists, are only a tiny minority of the opposition militants in Syria, right? Well, wrong, because as the Telegraph reported on Sunday, quote, almost half of Syrian rebel fighters are jihadists or hardline Islamists, according to a new report by London intelligence and defense consultancy IHS James. So those weapons which Obama is creating a loophole for will be going to the terrorists.
Al-Qaeda. Many of you probably remember these guys from the war in Afghanistan and Iraq. After all, billions of tax dollars were spent to fight these guys over there. Remember how the media used to call them terrorists and whatnot? How things can change so quickly in times of war. Now these same guys are being paid with US tax dollars to fight in Syria, and even though they are not Syrians, in the media they are now referred to as Syrian rebels, or freedom fighters even. We're selling them weapons, funds, foods and resources, even though these guys are still killing our soldiers in other countries. But hey, they're doing Obama's dirty work, right? So you don't hear the media complain about it. Now this war has taken another turn to the worst. Christian cleansing, and we're the ones funding it. Lee Stranahan has been in Beirut, interviewing survivors of the, let's see how you say this, Malula fight, and reports that religious cleansing was the motive all along, with forced conversions in an effort to empty Malula of its Christian population. Check the description for more links on the subject.
This is Lee Stranahan in Beirut, Lebanon. One of the things that got me interested in coming over here to the Middle East was the attack on a small Syrian village called Malula, about 45 minutes north of Damascus. Now, the reason this was interesting is it's hard to figure out why Malula would be a military target. The impetus seemed to be that it was religious. Malula was a mainly Christian town, and it's got historical significance, it's got cathedrals, it's got monasteries, and it's one of the last places on earth where Aramaic is spoken, the ancient language that many scholars think Jesus Christ spoke. So I was back at home in Dallas reading about what was going on in Malula, and it seemed to me as though the attack was religiously motivated. And it seemed to me that if that was the case, it was significant because some of the people doing the attacking were United States-backed forces, U.S.-backed Free Syria Coalition forces working in conjunction with al-Nusra, who are the Al-Qaeda-linked fighters. And I could see that the rebels had posted videos on YouTube, you can find them, of them attacking Malula, so I knew the attack was happening. And while John Kerry, the U.S. Secretary of State, was saying that these Free Syria Army forces were the moderates, you can see in the YouTube video that they're shouting Allahu Akbar as they attacked the town. So that was what was going on. And that's what really, the fact that there was very sketchy reporting on it made me want to come over here to the Middle East. So since I've been over here, I've actually been able to interview a few survivors of Malula, people who were there, people who were natives of Malula. And they confirmed the worst stuff that I thought, basically. It was a religious attack. It was explicitly, they were trying to get them to convert. People were killed because they were Christians. If you go to leestranahan.com, my website, I have audio where I interviewed these survivors, and they said that. So this is significant to me because it's the United States, on one hand, claiming that we're supporting only the moderates, but the moderates were attacking and killing Christians. So that's Malula. Until next time, I'm Lee Stranahan.
Yes, ma'am. You are very eager.
Hi, Senator McCain. My name is Jumana, and I met you years ago, and I've always been a loyal supporter of you. I'm always been a loyal supporter of you since the Keating Five. I go that back. Anyway, the point is right now, no one's denying there's a lot of atrocities being committed in Syria, whether on the rebel side or whether on the other side as well. The point is there is a good option to what could happen in Syria. For me to listen to you saying there is no good option, I refuse to believe that. The good option right now is to take Saudi Arabia and Iran and force them to stop supporting the two sides in Syria. And you could do it. You can do it by diplomacy and negotiation, not bombs, Senator McCain. We cannot afford to shed more Syrian blood. Personally speaking, I have a cousin who is 18 years old, just was killed 10 days ago by the so-called rebels and Al-Qaeda, and they're not Syrian. They're coming to Syria from all over the world to fight this. We cannot afford to do that. We cannot afford to turn Syria into another Iraq or Afghanistan. I beg you. My family is there. There's so many good Syrians. The majority of the Syrian people want to save their country. And you need to also listen to the majority of the American people who do not want you to go there. This is not an issue that we could take so lightly, Senator McCain. Enough is enough. We do not want another engagement in the Middle East. We don't want Al-Qaeda to take over. We don't, whether you like Bashar al-Assad or not, I am not a fan either. But at least he has a secular government going on over there. It is secular, Senator McCain. We are a minority over there. We are the minority Christians who are, unfortunately, by you and so many in the Senate, are just considering us as collateral damages. And I refuse to believe that. I refuse that because I could trace my family's name to the Bible. We were there from the beginning of humanity, we were there. And we refuse to be forced to leave and flee and be considered a collateral damage.
Hi everybody, today is September 29th, 2013. Al-Qaeda faction of Syrian rebels attacked two churches, break crosses, and raise flag of jihad. On Thursday, the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant attacked two churches in the northern Syria city of Raqqa. They broke the crosses off the top of the churches, set the contents of the building on fire, and lifted the black flag of Al-Qaeda above them. The attacks mirrored similar efforts by the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, where 80 churches have been destroyed, with the black flag being raised above some. The actions of Al-Qaeda and the Muslim Brotherhood clearly show that the claims that other religions flourish under Islamic rule is a lie. Breaking the cross and putting the flag of jihad in their place is a very symbolic move, showing that they plan to crush Christianity and expand an Islamic empire, or Caliphate. Oh yeah, these are the groups that the United Nations government supports now with monetary as well as military aid. In this picture here, the head of one of the groups is standing in a U.S. aid tent holding an anti-aircraft rocket-propelled grenade that can bring down civilian aircraft. This article goes on to say it, as we reported earlier, ISIL and other terrorist fractions in the Syrian rebels are hanging back and letting the moderate fractions do the fighting. While they are busy fighting Assad, the terrorists raid the warehouses and other stockpiles of aid given by the West. Their plan is to let the moderate groups and the Assad regime kill one another and then take over once both groups are sufficiently weakened. If we keep sending aid to the Syrian rebels, it looks like their plans will succeed. Here's the image of them taking down the Christian cross. And I'll give you links to this article and the photos down below in the more information box. Alright, bookmark my site. I'll keep you up to date. Please stay safe, and I'll talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.
Please take these men at their word. Listen to what they say, not me, what they say is coming. This is the latest Khalifa conference. Victory is near, and the time is now. This happened in Chicago, June 26th. No one has reported on this that we know. It's a conference that they had, and I think this is nice. It was free admission, and babysitting was included, so bring the kids. Hizb ut-Tahrir has these conferences all over the world. In fact, here's another one of the conferences right here. I'm sure it wasn't violence that caused New York to look like this. I'm not sure. But they had these conferences in at least 43 countries. Now, I say at least 43 countries because we can't verify any more than 43 because they operate in most countries clandestinely. Why? Because they're banned throughout the Middle East. They're banned in Russia. They're banned in post-Soviet Central Asian states. They're banned in Germany, actually more shunned in Germany because of its virulent anti-Semitism. But strangely not banned in the West or here in America. Hizb ut-Tahrir's website offers this. It's their FAQ, their frequently asked questions. Here it is, their website, you see. And what is Khalifa? Is it a republican system, imperial? What is it? Is it theocratic? And you come down all the way to the bottom, and it says, what are the opinions of organizations and individuals regarding Hizb ut-Tahrir's ideas and action? Well, I found this one interesting as we went down the list and looked. We found this organization that says it advocates the restoration of an Islamic caliphate, and it differs from jihadi groups which share this objective in abstaining from violent activity. This according to the International Crisis Group. The International Crisis Group, they abstain from violence?
My dear Muslims, when you speak to the Muslims today and say to them, we need to establish the Khilafah, we need to establish the domination of Islam, they say to you, we cannot see it, we cannot imagine it, this kind of thing is nonsense. What are you mentioning to us? But the same way, my dear Muslims, let me remind you, there are only two types of people on this earth today. There are only two types, and it's your choice. Make the decision. Who do you want to be with? You are either with the people of Jannah or the people of hellfire. This is the only choice that you have. There are only two choices, and the choice is up to you. Though many of the people, they have chosen the path of hellfire. They have chosen all these different ways of life, all these different ideas, all these different practices, following the man-made law, following the practices of the majority. And they are going to end up where the majority will end up. And that is the hellfire, my dear Muslims. It's time that we realize only those that adopt the mission of Izaruddin, they are the ones that will be Ahlul Jannah. Are you upon the mission of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Do you believe that Izaruddin will be established? Do you believe that the Sharia will dominate? Do you believe that democracy will come under our feet? That we will destroy America? We will destroy Britain? That all of these leaders, they'll be under our feet? Do you believe that? Because if you believe that, I will see it in your actions. When they speak about Sharia, when they speak about the Dawah, when they speak about the Muslims, when they speak about the Jihad, we should be proud to say that we are from the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And whatever you people represent, we will destroy it with our own hands, and we will establish Islam over your noses. This is the truth, my dear Muslims. This is the way that we need to be. We need to start to rise the banner of Islam, my dear Muslims. Yes, even in UK, we need to rise the banner of Islam. We need to start calling for Sharia on the streets of UK. From Mecca to Medina, from UK to Saudi Arabia, we want to establish Islam. We want to see Islam dominant. This is the aspirations of those that believe. This is the aspiration of those that are people of Jannah.
This is UN week, where all the leaders of the world are meeting at the UN in New York. And some interesting speeches happening, like this one, coming from our very own president, Mr. Barack Hussein Obama, first Muslim black president we've ever had. Obama says the future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam.
The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam.